Hey, welcome everybody to the this next edition of Tuning In with Tony, where we're going to talk about thinking. And it was interesting the title that we got from this: "Think Less for Happiness." It's all about our culture is constantly wanting to analyze and overthink things. Today's color, of course, is beige or something neutral in your wardrobe. It could be white, whatever you would figure is neutral. If you have a crystal that's like a clear quartz, anything like that that is just sort of even considered amethyst is kind of a neutral crystal if that's what you have as well, because it does a little bit of everything. Okay, it doesn't have a specific partial to it. But it's all about, the theme is all about being impartial to something where you're not taking sides in anything. You're not looking at what the mind is thinking. You're not looking at what other people are benefiting from. You're just seeing it the way that it's presented, not the way that you've been conditioned to look at things. And some people will say, well, what is the difference? Because the way we see things is the way that we're conditioned to see it. And the more you look at what would be fair in the sense that how are you seeing this, instead of seeing smoke and saying to somebody that, oh, it sounds like you need to quit smoking. This was an example in one of the psychic fairs that I went to many years ago. And somebody came to our booth and he says that the booth next door just told me to quit smoking, but I don't smoke. And so I was seeing also smoke, but it was more something had to get burned off. So when somebody is seeing smoke, right away they're going into interpretation. They're going into their meaning, what it means to them. And yeah, if you do that, then most often you could be setting yourself up for an incorrect reading in the sense because you're interpreting. What do you see? Well, I see smoke. Well, you can't dispute that because we were both seeing smoke. And I just stopped right there. I says, if I'm seeing smoke, what does that mean to you? Put it back to the other person. Okay. So that's what we're kind of looking at, seeing your world through an impartiality. You know, the term overthinking comes from the part where we go so far in our research and our thinking that it actually passes the jurisdiction of what the mind can understand, because there's so many things that are happening all at the same time that the mind is just looking at, but there's many things happening behind the scenes. What happens is when you don't have enough information on things, you get sort of a loop of no answers, or what we call a circle of no answers. And when you start going through that, when you start researching something and going through something and looking at it in the sense that, what does it mean for me? And you don't really have an answer. There's nothing there because you're just feeding the same thing and it's going through loops. Well, first of all, the mind is afraid of creating an incorrect answer. So it has to overthink and overdo, over-research, and do whatever it can to ensure a correct response or a correct direction in which you need to go, because now it is taking responsibility for whatever direction you want to go to. Now, it's not bad if let's say you decide to eat pizza for supper and it should have been hamburger. Not a big cost. But if you're making a decision on a 5-year program and what university you're going to, it becomes a bigger deal because that's a 5-year commitment. And if you're, halfway through that, realizing, I don't want to be an engineer, I don't want to be a draftsperson. Well, that's all fine and dandy, but that just means you have to halt everything and basically find out what it is that you do want and go in that direction. Or maybe you chose the wrong university. Maybe there's a certain programs that they didn't have, you thought they did. And you thought part of the research was going to cover that. And soon after you got in, they canceled it for whatever reason. In other words, you're not looking for outside information. You're not looking for what's happening on the outside. It's just like going through your computer trying to find the capital city of North Dakota. And it's not in there. But you have to hook up to the internet, something outside of the computer that can draw in that information. There's so many things happening basically outside of it. And so most of our experiences that we face in our lives comes from vibration. Now, we've heard this in many, many examples. It comes from a vibration, or where we are vibrationally and what we attract. What does that really mean? Is that we're energy beings and we emit a vibration. And the mind can...